Welcome to our college, Mahbub Nagar. We are going to start with a topic that is grammar. So in yesterday's session, I think we have seen few examples of voice and how the voice of the examples are being looked at. So these are the things from which in the previous sessions we have been seen having of a few sentences that are known to these learning of the sentences where you are going to see these voice, that is the active voice and passive voice. These active voice and passive voice, you can see few that these sentences carry a voice doing of thus can be called it as active, and in the second part of the passive sentences we can see that the action is being done over there, and these are the things that we have seen and covered in a few of the exercises in yesterday's class. So in today's class we shall see some of the active sentences instead of these. For active voice of sentences, the use of noun form and verb form of the words can be used instead of these instance. For instance use of announce, you can also take the word instance instead of making an announcement. For announce word, you can take the word make an announcement. Permitted instead of granted permission, and so on. So converting a verb adjective or adverb. So converting a noun, verb, adverb, converting a noun, adjective, adverb into or noun phrase. So or noun phrase. So these converting a noun, verb, adverb and adjective and this noun phrase. So this noun phrase of these all can come under this nominalization. So you see the word nominalization. So you can see converting a verb or adjective, adverb or into a noun. So into a noun. So these itself, that can be noun into a noun or noun phrase, where you can see of these converting verb, adverb and adjective that can be taken into noun and noun phrase. So these are the three things: converting verb, adverb, adjective and into this noun or noun phrase is called this nominalization. So you can see this nominalization where you are going to use mostly the focusing of this noun and noun phrase, and these are the voices of the sentences, the changing of noun forms into verb forms, or even with the adjective or with the adverb form. So this can be taken as in the process of nominalization, in which the words or the sentences can be used in different phrases. So these again you can see with the exercises of some of the following sentences where this changing of the noun forms into these verb forms. With one example you can see that the participants could not arrive so the participants could not arrive at a conclusion on anything. So on this you can see, and where these sentences are being modified and you can have the changing in the sentences that the participants could not conclude. The participants could not conclude. The participants could not conclude anything. So you can observe the two sentences where they are going to be taken into their forms. The participants could not arrive at a conclusion. So you can see where the participants are making it into the use of the arriving of conclusion or anything. So easily you can give in the sentence, the participants could not conclude anything. So could not arrive at a location, at conclusion is being taken by the making of conclude anything there. So you can see again the other more example. They only made a translation of previous studies. They only made a translation of previous studies. So for that itself you can say that they just translated the previous studies. They just only made, you can remove and you can just keep. They just translated the previous studies. We held a discussion on an important topic. So you can see with the few words, we held a discussion on an important topic. So you can see that we held an important discussion. We held an important discussion on any topic. So for this you can put we just discussed, or we discussed an important topic. We discussed important topic. So you can modify here. We held a discussion on an important topic, and we discussed an important topic there. And you can also have the changing of a few words in which where you can change the noun forms to verb forms, that the discussion is going to be taken, and that discussed is the word which you can take it into the active form of the verb there. Then we put forth a fourth proposal for an alternative plan. We put forth a proposal from an alternative plan. So we proposed an alternative plan. So we put forth a proposal for an alternative plan. That sentence can be again modified into we proposed an alternative plan. The police concluded an investigation into the matter. The police concluded an investigation into the matter. So for that one, the police you can take, the police investigated it into the matter. You can just take with the example of these, the police investigated it into the matter there. Then buyers should make a comparison between competing products. Buyers should make a comparison. Buyers should make a comparison. So you can see of that also you can have the changing of the sentence there. And what is the sentence you can see, and you can have that one. Buyers should change. Buyers should make a comparison, or should make a, buyers should make a comparison. Buyers should make a comparison between competing products. So between the competing products. So for this you can also say give. Buyers should compare. compare the competing products. So these are the words. Buyers should make a comparison between the words of competing products there, and you can also just take buyers compare. They should compare competing products. Similarly, one more sentence you can see. Researchers were asked to make analyze of the results. So researchers were asked to make an analyze of the results. So for that one, researchers should analyze the results. So you should have to give, there is a slight difference in the making of the changing of the comparison between analyze and make an. So for that sentence you can see researchers were asked to analyze the results. The members raised an objection to the new proposal. So the members raised an objection to the new proposal. So what is that one? The members raised an objection. So those people who are there in the proposal, they made they raised an objection to the new proposal. So for that one, the members objected the new proposal. The company made a decision to expand its reach. So the company decided to expand its reach. So that is one. The company made a decision to expand its reach is the company decided to expand its reach. We did not get a chance to give an explanation. So we did not get a chance to explain. So you should have to give. We did not get a chance to give an explanation for that one. We did not get a chance to explain. So although the active voice is default voice, we should have to try to make 80 to 90% of our active verbs and the passive verbs as its own uses. Passive voice is mostly used in the scientific and official writing. So you can see these passive words can be used mostly in these scientific and official writing. Official writing, where you can have the question, there, where the question is being observed. So that is the words where you are going to use there. The passive voice has its own uses and it is mostly used. So we can use, although the active sentences are making into default voice, we should have to try to make 80 to 90% of our verbs that are active. But the passive voice is as its own uses. That is why passive voice is mostly used in scientific, official, and the person who is making himself the question, who is the agent, that is the doer, and is unimportant or relevant for example. So that is the doer of the person who is called as the passive verbs, so that these passive sentences of the verbs can be used in these. Mostly they are very unimportant and irrelevant. So 2 youngsters were arrested yesterday for rash driving. We know that the police is the person who arrests the people. There is no need to state it. The agent here is implied. It is said that there is life on the moon. So there is a life on the moon. Exactly who said, it is difficult to decide. It has a common belief that there is a life on the moon. So the last date for the submission of forms has been extended by a week. Who extended the week? It is irrelevant because whoever has done it, it has the authority to do so. So the question is there and the authority is there. So these are the words where you are going to use the voice in having of the changing of noun forms to verb forms. And some of the following exercises we had made in the changes of knowing of these examples of the exercises that are to be known. So similarly, you can have the continuation of these passive voice that can be used when in the absence of the other works also. So that can be modified and taken in one more session of the exercises that is going to be taken in our class. Okay, then thank you. So again in this also, what are the things that are going to observe by these following of the passive words can be used. These are the words where you are going to use the passive words cannot be used when it has a transitive verb there. So transitive verb does not have any object. So these the sentence in intransitive verb. So that is intransitive verb. So that has no object, and transitive and intransitive verb does not have any no object. So in this you can specify that no object is lying. So that can be called to your intransitive verb. For example, the baby was sleeping. The baby was sleeping there. The baby was sleeping. The object is a class where they wanted us to stay another week. So the object is a class. Here you can see the object is a class where you can see that they wanted us. They wanted us to stay another week. So what does here we can say? Passive voice cannot be used when there is you are observing this transitive verb. So this transitive verb does not have any object there. In that you can see the example, the baby was sleeping. So you can have there, you can see no object is there. Then the object is a class. When the example is taking here, they wanted us to stay another week there. So that is the thing which you are going to identify where these passive words are being used there. So passive voice generally not used if it is an interrogative sentence. So again this passive voice cannot be used. So there you can see passive voice cannot be used where you can see the transitive verb. So this is an interrogative. It is an interrogative sentence where you can have your questioning of the statements of the phrases there. It is an interrogative sentence. So you can see where these passive words or passive voice generally you cannot see there. And for these who taught you English? So you can see with the excess one sentence, who taught you? Who taught you English there? So who taught you English? You can have the question, and where it is the form of the interrogative. And this passive voice is generally not used if the verbs of the sentences are seen in these interrogative questions. Questions sound awkward in passive. By whom were you taught English? So for this passive, by whom were you taught in, by whom were you taught in English. So that is the passive of the sentence, which at all it is being written in your interrogative session there. So use of the passive words where, when you are going to take with the example of when. So that at that time you can see with a few examples. Use the passive voice when the agent of the action of the doer is unknown, irrelevant or implied. So the Indian team for the World Cup has been announced there. So with the examples of that one, you can see when particularly the agent of the action is unknown there. So for that example you can give these, the use of, when the use of when you are going to take with the agent of the action there. So you can see with the taking of the example of use of passive voice when it is identified. So for that one, the Indian team for the World Cup has been announced. So for that one you can see when it was announced, many countries were affected by malware. Many countries were affected by malwares. So this affected by malwares. Then lastly you can see the thief has been arrested. The thief has been arrested. So you see when you are going to use this, use of the passive voice when the agent of the action of the doer is unknown or irrelevant. So here you can see unknown or irrelevant. Irrelevant there. So irrelevant, that is implied you can say, and you follow the three examples of that one. The Indian team for the World Cup has been announced. Many countries were affected by the malware. This thief has been arrested. So let's stop here. So these are the examples when you are going to use the passive voice when the time is being used. So thank you for this session. We shall again continue with some more exercises in one more class.